Hello, I'm Jesse Waters, along with Martha McCallum, Juan Williams, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Fox News alert. A lot of breaking news to tell you about. Attorney General Jeff Sessions resigning at President Trump's request. The president already naming Sessions' chief of staff, Matthew Whitaker, as acting attorney general. Sources telling Fox News that Whitaker is now in charge of everything at the DOJ, including the Russia investigation. This resignation follows President Trump's news conference today, where he was repeatedly asked about Sessions and the Mueller investigation.
Can you give us clarity, sir, on your thinking currently, now after the midterms, about your Attorney General and your Deputy Attorney General? Do they have long-term job security?
I'd rather answer that at a little bit different time. We're looking at a lot of different things, including cabinet. I'm very happy with most of my cabinet.
You consider removing Mr. Mueller from his position?
I could have ended it any time I wanted. I didn't. And there was no collusion.
We'll have our reaction to this breaking news and to the president's epic clash with the media later in the show. But first to our top story, the historic midterm elections. Democrats retaking the House, but Republicans making key gains in the Senate. President Trump calling the outcome a major success.
Carlos Cubella, Mike Kaufman. Too bad, Mike. Mia Love gave me no love. And she lost. Too bad. Sorry about that, Mia. And Barbara Comstock was another one. I mean, I think she could have won that race, but she didn't want to have any embrace. Those are some of the people that, decided for their own reason not to embrace.
All right. The president also slamming Republicans, which you just saw, who lost for not backing his agenda fully.
I thought it was a very close to complete victory. I won Georgia. President Obama campaigned very hard in Georgia. Oprah Winfrey campaigned very, very hard all over the television. I said, this is going to be tough. I only had me. And then we went to Florida, and they had celebrities all over the place. And a man who happens to be a very smart person was running, Ron DeSantis, and people didn't give him a chance. And I went, and we did some great work.
You liked how I set those sound bites up, didn't you?
Yeah, that was excellent.
Okay.
Keep everyone on their toes.
Yes.
That's right, just to make sure
You
they're
flipped
watching.
him.
I do want to make sure everybody knows I basically nailed my prediction the night before. I said the House, the Democrats were going to pick up 20 to 28 seats. Right now they're at 26. I said in the Senate they're going to gain 4. They've gained 3, so I'm basically a genius. Going to you, though, Greg.
Yes.
A lot of big wins for Republicans in the Senate and key governor races, but they did lose the House.
I don't think you could get a better outcome than this for President Trump. No.
Success.
Yeah. No, I want to say I'm kidding. But today is about teaching liberals a lesson about losing. Nobody this morning was out setting fire to a car because they lost the House. Nobody was hitting someone in a resistance shirt in the face because they lost the House. I went to the gym. That's what conservatives do. They just get on with their life.
You look buff today.
Thank you very much. And I'm really happy for the Democrats. And I think it's important to share power. And I don't think they would. They may not feel that way, but I think it is good for them to have a voice in government. And granted, it's the House. I mean, who cares? But I think it's good news. And also, the people that won aren't crazy progressives. In the suburbs, a lot of them are veterans, and the ones that lost, a lot of them, like Beto and a few other people, were progressive, so that's good. So the good news is that the Dems get the House, so the kids get to play with the toys. The Republicans get the Senate, so the adults handle the heavy machinery, and it creates a whole new storyline for us in the media. It's like your favorite sitcom getting a new neighbor. Right? It's like, yeah. It's like, so now you have a whole new thing. The nemesis. It's like the $6 Million Man when they brought in the Bionic Woman. It's great. We have so much more information. Martha, you're staring at me like I'm crazy.
Hey, wait a minute.
She's just...
I'm doing the show like I always do. Am I actually on the show?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I was just sort of watching for a while. We know that you watch.
All right. Yeah, Martha, you basically took us down to the wire last night, very late. You saw it and... right out of the gate and to the very end, and you don't seem tired at all. But what's your takeaway from last night?
You know, I think that what we ended up with is a map that looks like America. America's very divided. You now have a House that is dominated by the Democrats, and that's going to change things dramatically. They're already sort of chomping at the bit to get their hands on a number of these committee leaderships, which is going to, I think, one of the things that I think is very interesting this morning is that, the day after the election, it was sort of that feeling, and I'm talking about the presidential election, that, you sort of have that feeling, well, oh, wow, this is an incredible outcome. President Trump won. So I guess this is the new reality, and everyone's just going to sort of maybe accept this, and the country moves on, and you see where it goes next. But no, it was like, bam, right out of the gate. And I felt that way this morning as well, watching the president's news conference this afternoon. You sort of felt after last night, okay, so maybe things settle in a little bit. You've got, divided government, which is a very American reality situation. And right out of the gate, we have an incredibly contentious, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but incredibly contentious news conference and a very clear new reality in America.
Well, looking at Juan's face, he doesn't seem as happy as I thought he would be, considering, it was not the blue wave that a lot of people predicted, Juan, and there were some, worrying signs for the Trump campaign about, going forward in 2020, but you don't seem that excited about retaking the House.
Well, to me, I love the idea, as Martha was suggesting, there's a check that the Congress, the House, is now a check on the president.
Right.
And I think that's what the founding fathers intended with our form of government. I embrace that. I think it's terrific. But with regard to the blue wave, I feel more like I got purple rain.
It's a very good song.
Yeah, thank you, Martha. Thank you. Yeah, because I was so disappointed by what happened with the governor and the Democratic governor, who would have been the first black governor of Florida, or Stacey Abrams, who's still in a contest in Florida. I think lots of Democrats were heavily emotionally as well as financially invested in Beto O'Rourke in Texas. It came close. So to me, it was terrific in terms of looking at the House races. And as I say, the big news is that Democrats now control the House. So when Greg says that's really good news, I was so pleased to hear my friend say that. But I think that it's big news in part because it's changed the political landscape. That where you had one-party rule in our country for the last 2 years, you now have Democrats in position not only to act as a check, but to participate in terms of the legislative process, ideas and policies, in ways that we have grown unaccustomed to. But I just come back to the idea that when we have such a divided country, it's dangerous. I think there are a lot of feelings, and I'm just disappointed, and I would have liked a stronger sort of signal to President Trump that people don't like the divisive rhetoric and the anger and the kind of things he does. And you look at it, and the results are that women, especially white women in the suburbs, went for the Democrats. The independents went for the Democrats. Well, in rural America, President Trump had a very successful political strategy, which is, I don't care about the suburbs. I only care about my base, and I'm going out and I'm going to talk to the biggest red base and give them culture wars and migrant invasions. And they bought it. That's a shock to me.
Well, the president, Dana, does have a lot of work to do in the Rust Belt, in Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and Michigan. There's some warning signs there. And in the suburbs, and obviously health care played a major role in the Democrats' victory. How do you see it?
I think all of that is true. I was really interested in the deepening divide, not just partisan-wise, but geographically. So rural America versus urban America. And if you look at the big map, right, there's red all the way across in all the rural areas. The Republicans are so strong there. But in the cities, those big major population centers, including in Texas, you have Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and those are growing cities that Republicans are going to have to keep in. I'm thinking 20 years ahead down the road. You got to think about that. Republicans usually had won the suburbs for a couple decades. And to cede that ground to Democrats is
what do you think that
dangerous.
Signals policy-wise, or is it more about the president's style?
Well, I don't know yet. I think that we'll have to see how things shake out. Certainly health care is a thing. But in our voter analysis, it showed 50% of people want to go sort of the progressive way and 50% of the people like the conservative way. So how do you get those minds to come together? But everyone thinks it's the number one issue.
That's the great, you know what? Maybe divided government reduces the divisiveness in a country because, you know, as my libertarian streak likes the fact that it's self-canceling. So, and that's good. as opposed to.
But one of the problems, I'm sorry, one of the problems about divided government in this environment is that it doesn't work. You know, what we see is you get gridlock, right? So the ideal situation is where you've got Republicans and Democrats, but they find things that they agree on and move forward on.
I don't want them to move forward. That's the thing. As a libertarian, I want it to be stuck in the mud.
You're pro-gridlock.
I'm pro-gridlock.
Okay.
But I just think it's unbelievable. Like, men still voted strongly for Trump and Republicans.
I can't believe women vote for Democrats.
Women voted by 20 points for the Democrats.
I love how
so
I
it's
love
like
how
a marriage, and the marriage isn't working great. They're at each other like
maybe
that.
Hillary
That's
was wrong.
love.
Maybe the men can't tell the women that they're married to. Who
Yes.
they vote for.
Is that right,
Maybe
darling?
she got that wrong.
Oh,